All right, we are live with Shoot the Shit. This is attempt number 2, week number 2 of doing things, streaming directly from my computer to YouTube, not using a third-party software. So I have somebody on my team was saying that they didn't see me because I was running a little behind on trying to get this to work. So do me a favor, make sure you say hi. I'm gonna take a look here. I should be able to see the chat. We've got a bunch of you that are just joining, so I know that it's working because it says there are a bunch of you on here. So what I'd like to do is say good morning, say hi, give me something, because I've got this other thing on my tablet here that was going to show me the comments. I'm going to be able to show them on the screen, and like I was using the old software. So here we go. We've got our first one. Did it come across? Son of a biscuit. Why did you not connect? Hold on one second. I'm going to try and do something real quick. I'm still here with you. I know I walked away, but we're going to try and get this thing to work. It is going to kill me. Because I didn't do that. Let's try that. There we go. So now, oops, one second. I'm still here. I double-clicked on it too quickly. This is all happening live. Fun technology with DSP. One second. Come on, come on. Oh, son of a biscuit. Let's see here. All right, so I just tried to start something. I'm hoping that it's going to give me the ability to do this, where I can see your comments. Because I get a good morning from Mary. I've got a what's up from Shaheen. What's going on? Savage, good morning from Carlos. And Toby says hi. Now let's see if this software works. This is going to drive me nuts. Why? Why are you not connecting? It doesn't say. I'm going to try it one more time. So sorry. I'm going to get this started. I swear this is the fun part about live. Click. And it says, there we go. There we go. Let's see. That should do, no. This is okay. All right, now that is green. I got a green light on it now. I've got a green light on it now. We're gonna see if it works. It may not, but at least I've got this other thing. Here we go. I'm gonna send this. There we go. We've got the hi. We've got Savage. We've got a good morning, David. We've got, look at this. Yes, yes, yes. Things are working now. Thank goodness. I swear to goodness, it was driving me crazy. All right, so we're gonna get started here in just a second with Shoot the Shit. Make sure you're logged into your YouTube account. So now I can see your comments, because I just verified my computer's all the way across the room, but we're gonna get this done. So welcome to Shoot the Shit. Let's get this started, shall we? I'm gonna do a couple things here. We're gonna come here, and we're gonna do this. Welcome to Shoot the Shit with DSP. STS with DSP happens every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, live on YouTube, travel schedule permitting. We're going to invest about 30 minutes out of your day to get pumped about the upcoming weekend, get excited about crushing your goals, and finding the motivation to be best you possible. Plus, I'll answer your burning questions. I'm Dave Scott Peters, creator of the Restaurant Prosperity Formula, and your coach. Today, I'm going to share with you some of the presentation highlights from my presenting at both Pizza Expo and Bar and Restaurant Expo just this week. Again, before I get started, make sure you're logged into your Google account or your YouTube account. Same, they're interchangeable, to make sure you can participate in the chat, because after I do my presentation, I answer your questions, I answer your comments, I help you. Here we go. This week, I just got back from Las Vegas, where I gave not one, not two, but 3 deep dive presentations. 2 were at Pizza Expo, each 4 hours long, and 1 a 3-hour session at Bar and Restaurant Expo. And I gotta tell you, it was incredible to be surrounded by restaurant pros who are fired up about change, right? These are roomfuls of people who want, like you, want to change their business, want to have freedom for their business, the financial freedom they deserve. They want this to be easier. They want to make more money. So today, I want to take you behind the scenes just a little bit and share some of the biggest aha moments from those sessions. Now, I say biggest, but some of the sessions. I mean, again, 4 hours, 3 hours. That's 11 hours of content. That's a lot of DSP. Whether you were there or not, these takeaways will help you get better results starting this week. So let's talk about session 1, how to easily and quickly learn your restaurant numbers for success. This was at Pizza Expo. This is before the trade show opens. They do a great job of having education on 2 days, no trade show, just education. And I think it's phenomenal. I think they're one of the best at putting together great education for restaurant owners. So let's kick things off with what I call the foundation of restaurant profitability, knowing your numbers. Like, you have to know your numbers. Now, I get it. Most of you, as restaurant pros, didn't get into the business because you love spreadsheets. You got into it for food, the people, the hustle, right? To create memories, hospitality. But let me be real with you. The difference between owning a job and owning a business is understanding the numbers. So here are a few key points that I basically drilled home at the expo. And again, out of a 4-hour presentation, I'm just giving you a few things that are kind of highlights. Well, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that prime cost is king. If you're not tracking your cost of goods sold and labor cost every single week, you're probably bleeding money and don't even know it. I broke down how to build a budget in 7 easy steps, from your trailing 12 months sales to measuring actual performance on a weekly basis with a weekly budget variance report, giving you the ability to proactively manage your business. This is powerful. In my coaching program, whether in a seminar or you buy my book, Restaurant Prosperity Formula, What Successful Restaurateurs Do, I teach budgeting. And I often say, if you've been following me any length of time, unless you've been under a rock, I say the 2 most important systems any restaurant should have are budgets and recipe cards. Recipe costing cards. What are the 2 systems most restaurants never have? Budgets and recipe cards. Why? They're so hard. Boo frickin' who? You're in the toughest business I know. But if you want to proactively run your business, your budget is key. In fact, it's the major aha moment in our group coaching program. Every member, when we get finished with the budget, whether we're turning them around from complete chaos and loss of money to profitability, or finding that extra 1 point, everyone, to a person, is ecstatic about seeing the plan and what it means to them. Budgeting is incredibly important. We talked about how to set realistic targets. So I shared what I call benchmarks. Everyone calls them benchmarks, and I hate benchmarks. I told them there was a list, something on my slide that one of them said, do not adhere strictly to these benchmarks, because that's all they are, is benchmarks. They don't really have anything to do with your business, where you're located, your price point, your style of service, your quality product, your core values. But some of the things that do really matter all the time that I look at, some big ones are prime cost. If you do $850,000 or more a year in sales, we're looking for prime costs of 55 points or lower, as we get close to $2 million or higher, which means many of you are operating off the old number, the standard of 65%. If you do $1 million a year in sales, that's $100,000 in bottom line profitability on the same sales you're doing right now, if you simply learn the systems and how to achieve a 55% prime cost without cutting product quality, without cutting service levels, without going against your core values. It's powerful. Operating expenses. Basically, once we get past that, we start looking at operating expenses saying, you have about 25%. Now, the idea is, for my members, we work towards a 15 to 20% profit margin. So if I got 55 prime costs, I got 25 operating expenses, that's 80%, right? So now if I add 5 points to my operating costs, I get to that 15%. If I add 10 points and so on, you get the picture. You can start to see where you've got to make change in your business. And one of the major things is occupancy. I really want that. An average restaurant should be 5 to 8% occupancy. That's my rent, that's my CAM charges, that's my property taxes, my liability insurance to be in that building, and any loans you might have to be in that building. Now, 5 to 8% really gives you an opportunity to hit that 20% profit margin. But I'm going to tell you, typically a restaurant today is running 10 to 12 points. But as soon as you get over 12, you get to 14 points, you're starting to work for the landlord. Think about that 25% operating cost, and you start adding 8 points to that, 10 points to that, so on and so forth. If your prime cost is higher than 55, all of a sudden you're losing money. Those three numbers are key to look at. And there was a whole list of others. And you know what? You know what people said to me after the session? This was awesome. Now, I'm going to take credit for it because I tell people I want to make sure that when they leave my room, they go, this was the best session they've ever been to, that I was the best presenter, and I send them home with actual solutions. I gave them my budgeting software, or spreadsheet, I should say. I gave them the video on how to create a budget. I gave them a video on how to use the spreadsheet. I gave them the tools to be successful. So they said, that was awesome. And one person said, I've never run with a budget before. I can't wait to get started. And that's what I try and do, is get you motivated to want to make change, to know your numbers. I always say numbers don't lie. But most restaurant owners just don't know what they're saying yet. And that's the key. You always have to be on a journey to learn. Have you ever looked at your prime costs? Better yet, have you looked at it this week? Last week? If not, what is stopping you? I want you to write down on a sticky note right now. Track prime costs weekly. This is incredible. Why? Because it allows you and your management team to see where you hit or missed on your cost of goods sold, hit or missed on labor, by position, by category. And if it's the first week of the month, you have 3 weeks to fix it. We don't wait till 15 days in the next period, 30, 60, 90, when you get a P&L, and then look backwards and say our food cost was high. We look at the week. We find the problems, we fix the problems, and we create a plan to make that money back without cutting guest satisfaction, without cutting service levels, without going against your core values, proactively managing your business. So make that commitment to yourself to start tracking prime costs on a weekly basis. How about session 2? How to get the most out of your management team. This is a Pizza Expo again. This is day 2. Trade shows closed. This is just education. Loved the people in the room. Many of them were in the session the day before. Now this second session was all about management. And this is one that hits home, really close to home for so many of you. Why? Because the realization, all the numbers things that I taught the day before, those are tasks, those are systems, process, way. The only way those things happen is people, that you become the leader your restaurant needs, that your managers are doing their job. So I kind of started off, I'm paraphrasing here, asking them, do they feel like they're the only ones who care? Like your team just is going through the motions. I said a lot more. And here's the truth. If your managers aren't engaged, it's usually because you've not trained them. You've not empowered them. And you certainly haven't held them accountable. I walked attendees through the following things. One, the big thing, that if you've been following me for any length of time, you know how I feel about checklists. I talked about creating checklists and defining standards so that they're crystal clear. That quite honestly, whether it was the day before the numbers presentation or this presentation, people are often like, where do I start? Well, in my group coaching program, our group coaching program, we start with checklists. If you cannot get your team to follow a checklist, what makes you think they're going to wake up on a Sunday morning thinking, I can't wait to count inventory accurately on time and care about it? You've got to create your standards. We talked about how to build a team of MITs, managers in training, so that you're not left scrambling when somebody quits. It's creating that bench, not just having, 1 or 2 salaried managers, and then when one quits, you're like, holy crap, I got to step back in. And usually that means you're going to keep a bad manager that doesn't fit your culture because you don't have time to step back in. Instead, we've got all these people that work 1, 2, 3 shifts a week that are learning how to open and close the restaurant. They're starting to learn some of the other systems like scheduling and so on. So that when a manager moves on, the next person up, you actually have a bench. It also allows you to have the power to expand and contract your management team when I'm busy, when I'm slow, in season, out of season. We talked about the power of a systems culture. This is when everybody knows the what, the how, the when, basically of their job. This allows things to start running like a machine. This allows to create a culture where the details matter, that everyone cares about everything because it's so specific and clear. Better yet, people aren't guessing their jobs. One of the biggest reasons we have turnover in the restaurant business is why? Because people don't know what their job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, more importantly, by when. They usually have a bullying manager above them who doesn't know either and has to make them feel stupid because they don't want to look stupid. So we talked about training in that aspect as well. We talked about how to use your core values to guide decisions so that your managers do things right even when you're not there. I talk about a story, whether it's in my group coaching program, at presentations, at my seminar. I use this example all the time. I say, okay, your core values are who you are as a person. They almost never change. If I've got partners, I need shared core values. So we all look at the business with the same lens, the same view, the same priorities. And let's say we work with somebody, I've got an owner whose their core value is excellence, and it's I will only buy the best product, I will only hire the best people, I will make sure every guest has a 100% satisfaction before they leave. Like excellence, excellence, excellence. Well, you couldn't buy shitty product or you get in trouble. You couldn't give shitty service, you get in trouble because we strive for excellence. Well, I talk about the story that I've got a manager who says, hey, we've got a party tonight and we've got 50 specialist steaks coming into the restaurant today from our broadline distributor. The party's today. The truck shows up, there's no steaks. What the hell do I do? Well, I could talk about two scenarios, a good scenario and a bad scenario. The bad scenario over here is when what? Hey, I could go to the broadline distributor, 3-hour tour. I got shit to do. I can't do that. I could get my secondary vendor to drop off steaks. They're 50 cents a pound more. That's not a big deal, but we'll get here at 4 and the party starts at 5. Can't do that. So I'm going to go across the street to the grocery store, buy steaks, and they look in the window and the butcher and they say, give me 50 of those and the cheapest steaks there. And by the time you come into the restaurant, these steaks are coming out the window and they're curling up like shoe leather. They're so cheap. And you're pissed off. You are reading that manager the riot act, even though they're saying, hey, we didn't get our delivery. And look, I fixed it. Pat themselves on the back. But you are pissed. Why? Because is that excellence? Is shitty product excellence? No. Same manager makes the same decision, goes through the same process, but goes to the butcher and says, give me 50 of your very best steaks, comes back with Kobe beef. Now you walk in, you see this huge, marbly, beautiful steak. And you're like, oh my God, manager, what the hell? You're losing money every steak that's coming out the window. The manager tells you a story based on our core values. I said, give me your best steaks. Man, you put your hands on your thighs, you lean over and you look up and go, let's talk about profitability. How is that manager ever in trouble if they base their decision based on your core values? It may be a coaching opportunity. So it is so important that we are teaching our managers. Because in that solution too, while it was a real profit killer, the manager wasn't in trouble. Rather, it became again a coaching opportunity. Boom! That's what core values do. They align your team with your vision. Do your managers know your standards? Would they make the same decision that you would if you weren't around? If not, the starting point this week is start to work on your core values. I teach how to go through that process in my book. Session number 3, how to avoid 3 deadly mistakes in labor costs, was at Bar and Restaurant Expo. It was the last slot on the last day of people going out partying, doing everything they can. So, you know, it was lighter than lighter than I wanted to be attended, but there was probably about 80 people in the room, which is still a pretty good room, enough for me to get all amped up. You know what? If I had one person in the room, I'd be amped up. Now, this last one got people fired up because labor costs are out of control in so many restaurants. I laid out 3 deadly mistakes. One of them was overstaffing, right? Usually out of fear. What if we get slammed? What do? You schedule heavy and you bleed labor dollars. You schedule like you always do. What about not scheduling to budget? Oh my, you got to have a budget. Most owners and managers, they schedule off their gut, or they copy last week's schedule into the next week's schedule. It has nothing to do with sales. Instead, I teach a labor allotment system that ensures you start your week on budget, proactively scheduling. 3, not tracking in real time. You can't fix what you don't see. Weekly labor summary reports are going to help you correct course. Because when I can start to pay attention to not only what my forecasted sales were and what I scheduled originally, what my actual sales were and how many hours I actually worked, you have incredible power to fix things instead of waiting till Friday to check your POS to see your labor's out of control and yelling like a chicken with your head cut off, cut on your 2 busiest sales day of the week. No, instead we know Monday we're over budget and we've got 6 days to make tiny little incremental changes to get back on budget, and Tuesday and Wednesday and so on. We can now measure our managers on a specific labor cost by day of the week. If we're shooting for, say, just to make life easy, a 30% labor cost, it's not 30% every day, because why? You schedule for the needs of the business, not for a labor cost. So if production requires you to do a lot of prep on Monday, your slowest sales day of the week, you might run a 38% labor cost on purpose, but on Friday it might be 18%. We'll finish the week on 30. Really powerful. We went deep into things like how to budget your labor dollars and, more importantly, your hours. That's what I just talked about. It's a system I call the Restaurant Payroll Guardian. And I gave that system to those attendees. I gave them the video lesson on it. I gave them the video lesson on the spreadsheet. I gave them the Google Suite solution. Like, you come see me speak anytime. I send you home with actionable things that you can put in place today. I'm not a bait and switch kind of speaker. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to give you the tools to be successful. We talked about spotting time clock abuse. Because the easiest place in your restaurant for me to steal from you is not the register, it's not the product on the shelf, it's your time clock, especially when you don't pay attention. People clocking in too early, riding the clock, punching in wrong job codes to get paid more. And we talked about calculating something called dollars per labor hour worked, so you know what your team's efficiency is, especially in this presentation, because it was the Bar and Restaurant Expo, so there's a lot of bar owners or restaurants that have strong bar presence. And if we use industry standards, benchmarks from day one, which was not here, and I start throwing out that I want your back house labor to be 10 to 12%. If you're in California, we might go up to 14%. That's line cooks, prep cooks, dishwashers. Well, you could be running at 12%, patting yourself on the back, but your liquor sales are 60% of your sales, which means 40% is kitchen. And when we do this dollars per labor hour efficiency, we find that your cooks are taking care of like 3 guests an hour. And you've got to make a major change. So your numbers can lie going back to day one, knowing your numbers. Your numbers, you need to understand them. Now, if you had to guess right now, what day of the week do you think you're overspending labor most often? And why do you think that is? I want you to take a moment. I want you to reflect. I want you to write that down. And then I want you to talk to your managers about it this weekend, because they will find solutions if you ask them to. If you ask them just to write a schedule, they'll do what they've always done, and you'll always get the same results. Now, Vegas reminded me of something very powerful. Restaurant pros like you want to improve. You're not lazy. You're just stuck in the chaos of the daily grind. But when you slow down, get clear on your goals, and focus on systems, you become unstoppable, my friend. So here's your challenge for the weekend. Choose one area from today: your numbers, your team, or your labor. Take one action. That's critical. Take action. And do it before Monday. See, here's the deal. That's it. It's a small step. And small steps equal massive results over time. Now, if you wish you were there in my room, live with me, any one of those sessions, wish you could learn from me and learn how you can go home with all the systems I teach, then I'm going to invite you to attend my 2-day seminar coming up in Las Vegas, May 14th and 15th, 2025. We've made it even easier for you to attend. Each seat, now, ready, is only $499. That's it. Plus, if you register on or before March 31st, so that's coming up pretty quick for some of you right now, right? It's coming up pretty quick. You're going to be automatically upgraded to our new VIP ticket, which comes with bonuses like a live group coaching call before we get there. Before you get there, a profit and loss statement review with either me or Steve Eller on my team, my director of operations. I'm going to get you front row seating, whatever those front rows are, right? Depending on how many. It's not, everybody doesn't get the front row, but in the front rows, plural. And we're going to have a happy hour, a social hour, if you will. I'm going to go buy us some drinks. You're going to go there with me, my team, have your questions answered. And as a bonus, Matt Plapp, marketing guru and expert and funny dude, is going to bring his team. And you're going to have access to him because he's speaking at the seminar as well. And after the 31st, those VIP tickets will cost more. You can still attend for $4.99 each seat. But if you want to be a part of the really cool shit, it's going to cost you more. So you might as well register now. So if you're interested, you want to learn more, you want to register, go to davidscottpeters.com, click on the live seminar link at the top right-hand side of the menu bar. And if you truly want to achieve restaurant prosperity, which is freedom from your restaurant, the financial freedom you deserve, then you don't want to miss this 2-day event. You want to join me. That concludes my portion of Shoot the Shit with DSP. And now we're going to answer your questions. We're going to see if the technology still works, that I'm still alive, all this wonderful stuff. Holy cow, it is working here. I tell you what, let us see what we've got here. Now, where does it start? That is the question. That's 23. Okay, so we start at the bottom. That's how this works. All right. We've got a good morning from Deja Wakefield. Do I need my glasses? Yes, I do need my glasses. Good morning, Deja. Awesome to have you. Awesome to have you. Huddy's Bagels in the house. What's going on? It is good to have you. I hope that you took action on what we talked about. We've got VaporX is in the house. Good morning, Experience Masters. Yeah, everybody's good people. Attila's here. Good morning. It is great to have you. I love my regulars who are here. We've got Dragos. Good morning, David. Thank you for your dedication. We are 2 associates and own 2 restaurants and 1 bakery for 8 years, all under one company. Should we use spreadsheets or accounting software? Oh, 100% you need accounting software. That's an easy one. If it were me, I'd get QuickBooks Online. Now, if you're in Canada or Europe, I think it's, what is the competition there? I'm now blanking on it. There's another piece of software, but you need online. So if you're in the States and you're using, I wouldn't get QuickBooks Desktop. I'm going to tell you the QuickBooks Desktop is more powerful for your CPA. But for what we do, having it online and having all of our team, important, whoever's responsible for financials, have access to it, have it update all the time. It also ties in with different pieces of software like Margin Edge. You take pictures of your invoices, send it up, it's automatically sent over, and your journal entries are made. Like, it's incredible. But absolutely, spreadsheets are great for learning systems. I have spreadsheets. I have spreadsheets that not for your P&L, but for proactively managing your business, because you're going to find that a lot of the softwares out there don't have the proactive tools, so I make that up. But when it comes to recipe costing and inventory and scheduling, you're going to need third-party software. Again, these softwares now will connect, many of them, with your QuickBooks Online. So that's my answer for that. All right. Drago says, to calculate profits and expenses separate for each business, we have 54 employees and we are just taking money for everything in the same bag. Yeah, no, we've got to create, even if it's one company, when we use accounting software, we're going to use something called class accounting. It's kind of like having a spreadsheet. We have this spreadsheet that says here's my categories, here are what my expenses are and sales and so on, boom, profit and loss. But then we can expand it and have columns that are revenue centers. We call class accounting, restaurant 1, 2, 3, 4. So we see food sales go across, totaled up, but it's food sales for each individual. So we can measure each restaurant on its own. You also have to worry if they're different restaurants and you have liquor liability, and you have liquor liability you've got to worry about, the realization is this. When you pay bills from one restaurant for another and you do not account for it as a loan, you are piercing your corporate shield, which means one restaurant has a DUI, a death, a something, they can come after everything. So you really want to make sure that if they are separate companies and you are taking money from one to pay the other bills, that it's a loan from one to the other. Otherwise, you're exposing yourself. Let's see here. Drago says, thanks, Trey. We've got Trey here, says, no problem. I love learning and spreadsheets, what I've learned. There must be another comment going on here. Trey says, no, if payments need to happen, I'd add checking account. Okay, you guys are having a separate conversation in my chat here. All right, let's see here. I'm going to skip over you guys. You guys are having a conversation with yourselves in my chat, which is great. I love it. VaporX says, QuickBooks does not do inventory. You're right. It's not an inventory software. You need Margin Edge. Go to marginedge.com/DSP. I get no kickback from it. It's just you're gonna go see my sales guy, Bruce. Bruce is awesome. No, you need software. Like, yes, we need other tools, but no, it does not. All right. Savage says, I'm thrilled to be attending the seminar in Vegas. I'm looking forward to connecting with everyone and sharing some great experiences. You make sure you introduce yourself to me as Savage. I want to make sure. Trey says, Toast does inventory, but Margin Edge and Extra Chef do both. All right, look, I want to be clear. You're right, but I would not use any POS systems inventory programs. Now, if you want to use Extra Chef, that is a separate program that Toast purchased. Right? So do know none of you are going to be happy if your POS system says they have an inventory system in the POS, not going to work for you. I'm just going to be very clear about that. All right, VaporX says, why not use a more complete back office instead of multiple apps? Okay, this is simple. So I developed an all-in-one app. My old company, I developed software that does everything, all of my systems. I don't even recommend it. Now, part of that's relationship issues, but the other part is this. Because when you use an all-in-one, like an R365, like a Craftable, you have to use all the systems. Because if you don't do this part of the system, you can't use these other sections. They're all-in-one, they're tied in. So I always recommend you start with a tech stack. That way, if I don't use the scheduling this week, I can still use inventory and cost of goods sold. If I don't use cost of goods sold this week, I can still use my sales forecasting. I can do the things that I need, that they're not tied together. Now, when you get to a point where you go, man, I wish this was all tied together, then you look for an all-in-one solution. And this is from somebody who built it. All right, let's see here. We got Trey. Trey is dropping knowledge bombs through here. Yeah, VaporX, yeah, you were asking it. Restaurant Systems Pro, that's my old company. Back in the day, we called it Smart Systems Pro before I was bought out. R365, Compete, Craftable, there's more. There's more out there now. Frank asks, what percentage of time should an operations manager for 5 locations, $2 million each, be on location? Now, this depends on what you expect from your operations manager. For me, an operations manager knows the numbers. They're gathering all the data. They're making sure all the inventories are right, the cost of goods sold, the labor targets. They're producing reports for me as an owner that I can make great decisions leading my team. They're going through each store on a weekly basis, minimum at minimum monthly, but weekly, they should be doing a walkthrough through the store. They should be in there and training managers, bringing them up to speed, especially the GMs. What percent they should be in those rooms, those restaurants? I don't know. Probably 25 to 50%. depending again what you have this person doing. Now, there could be a point that it's 75. Maybe I'm a smaller concept and my operations manager is actually working shifts in each store. I wouldn't do that. I want to get them to make sure they're developing my team. So, arbitrary number, 50%. It really depends on what your expectations are of that person. So it's hard for me to answer without asking you more questions. All right. Let's see here. You guys are having a conversation here, Trey and Vapor X. And let's see here. Huddy says, we did take action in talks with Performance Food and 3 possible new options. Frickin', you go for it. You're awesome. All right. Trey says he likes Margin Edge. Let's see here. Matt Plapp is in the house. Marketing extraordinaire, DSP. Let's go, brother. Great hang in Vegas. Yeah, I got to spend time with Matt and a whole bunch of industry professionals, coaches and software people, and it was amazing. First a social, and then a second social with Matt. I mean, it was fantastic. I'm gonna tell you right now, I talk about Matt all the time. There are a few marketing professionals I put my name on. I like Matt. There's anybody more genuine, nobody more knowledgeable, nobody more interested in helping people than Matt Plapp. Now you got to get past his bad jokes. That's a whole nother story. But if you're looking for marketing, look up Matt Plapp, Mattplapp. Go find him on the internet. That's what I would do. Trey Hustle says, how do you feel about Jolt checklists? I'm going to tell you. If you were to join my group coaching program, guess what I'm going to get you? I'm going to get you a year's subscription to Jolt checklists. I love them. And I'm going to be straight with you. And I've told them this. My old company, when we were developing our checklist system, we were a little corporate espionage. We got an account for Jolt and we copied them, but nobody's as good as them. I think 7 Shifts has a decent checklist system, but nobody's as good as Jolt. I love Jolt. I personally pay for one restaurant for each one of my members for a year. So I can't give you a better endorsement than what I've got here. Now, let's see here. Vapor X says you don't like Jolt. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not using Jolt properly. I'm telling you right now, the only way you don't like Jolt is you're not using it properly. You're making it too hard on your team. We can talk about that another time. Matt Plapp says, I really appreciate that. And yes, I have many bad jokes. Oh God, you have. Let's just put it this way. Man is the king of D's nuts. Anyway, y'all understand that. Remember D's nuts ran for president? Anyway, let's see here. Trey says, I just signed up. I on board today. You're talking about with Jolt, I'm assuming. So hopefully that'll be great for you. Cool. How am I doing on time? We have gone a little over today. I'm going to give you an opportunity. There's a 20-second delay from me speaking, you hearing. I have time for one more question if you've got it. Now I'm going to tell you, I believe, let me check my phone here and my calendar. I believe I've got a shoot the shit next week. Yes, I will have a shoot the shit next week. But after that, we are not going to have a shoot the shit for anywhere from 2, 3, or 4 weeks. I am having surgery. I'm having a non-cancerous tumor removed from my jaw. Doesn't that sound like fun? No, it doesn't sound like fun. I'm not really excited about it. But so depending on how my recovery goes, definitely not. So next week, but the week after, definitely not. From there, we're going to have to see how my healing goes. So wish me luck. Let's see here. We've got a couple more things here. Savage says, you missed my question, laugh out loud. What is your question? Here we go. Is this it? Could you elaborate on the homework for this weekend? So basically, what I talked about, whether it is knowing your prime cost, and if you don't, working on it and starting putting together the ability to measure your prime cost every week, making that commitment. The homework was looking at whether you're having challenges with your labor, whether it was the clocking in too soon, clocking in too late, riding the clock. I talked about a budgeting system, picking one of those possibly as your homework. When we talk about getting the most out of your management team, it was, do I need to document my core values? Do my managers know what my expectations are? So there was a litany of things that I talked about from each one of the presentations, and your homework was pick one of them, take action, and do it now. That was your homework. Hopefully I went backwards and found that. I was trying to go through the side conversations that VaporX and Trey Hustles were having. All right, let's see here. Look at that. Mary's on it. Mary, I did it. Look, I did it all by myself. I found his comment, his question, and I answered it. Let's see here. Vaporette says Vapor sounds like a troll that doesn't have a restaurant. No, he's not. So Trey, you can take that one and throw that out the window. VaporX has been around. I'll tell you, the first time because of his name, his handle, I thought that too, and I even called him out on it. No. VaporX is here on a weekly basis, and he cares. He gives a shit. He wants to become better. So I'm gonna tell you right now, he's not a troll. VaporX is, in my book, somebody I care about because why? He wants to do better. So, just to be clear. Savage says, great, thank you, DSP. Have a kick-ass weekend. You too, my friend. I think that is all the time we have for Shoot the Shit with DSP. It's time for you to go out there, kick some ass, have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you next week on Shoot the Shit. Peace, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.